Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. We are the Hollow Grumps. I'm Liam.
And I'm Colin.
And we're here to bring you the review of the last episode of The Mandolorian Season 1, Episode 8, titled Redemption. Now this episode was directed by Taika Waititi, and let's just say from the very start, there will be spoilers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and if you like what you see on this channel, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment, because we would love you to do so, and God knows if anyone else will. Okay, so the episode started with two stormtroopers talking right after they've kidnapped the beloved Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda is probably the most interesting part of this whole series. Now, I do actually really enjoy the series. We haven't done any reviews on episodes 1 through 7, so if you're going looking for them, you won't find them. But episode 8 is one of the strongest episodes in the entire series. And the reason is, it really does play on your feelings, especially at the start. I mean, you have these two stormtroopers who seem very human, don't they?
Yeah, I kind of liked the take on the two stormtroopers talking. It was I used to watch this show on YouTube when I was younger called A Clone Apart, which was made using the old Battlefront 2 engine, and it kind of reminded me of that, just seeing the personalities that each of these stormtroopers have, particularly after they've stopped using the clones.
They were so human in comparison to... the reason why they're obviously wearing that armor is to dehumanize them. People used to get executed. You'd have your executioner's hood, so you didn't know who was doing it. I think that's kind of the idea behind why they're all wearing helmets and the same armor. But these guys, they seem very, very human, and they seem like they have their own objectives and super objectives in everything. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get executed for accidentally calling at the wrong time.
Yeah, you can see that they're sitting there too nervous to actually call up the officer, because they said that Moff Gideon, the man who just showed up in the end of episode 7, executed an officer just for speaking out of turn.
For interrupting him.
Interrupting him, that's what they said, yeah. I know some people mightn't like this, but I felt it added a bit of levity straight after the killing off the character of Quill, which I was sad about that. I mean,
and it came quite suddenly as well.
Yeah, and we did get to see, of course, two stormtroopers getting killed in spectacular fashion in revenge by IG-11, which was nice.
The nurse droid.
The nurse droid, and they deserved every bit of it, and particularly after punching Baby Yoda a couple of times.
Yeah, it was. Two punches from one guy and one punch from another guy who gets bitten on the finger, which is great.
Yeah, they're very useful gloves, of course.
Now, the gang at the time are trapped inside of a bar. They look for a way out. They're going to go into the sewers, which is where all the Mandalorians used to hide.
And there's a nice conveniently placed grate for them to get into.
But it's not that convenient, because they actually can't get through it. Turns out that IG-11's programming is to protect as well as nurse.
Little do they know that IG-11 is on the way with Baby Yoda in tow, because at this point they just believe that Baby Yoda has gotten away, or their signal is jammed, so he can't get through to Quill anymore.
If anyone's watched the first episode, you know that IG-11 wrecks shop. Kill anyone with his blasters. He doesn't really have to look at you. You'd think he had the Force, he's so good with it. So he goes through this whole settlement in Navarro, kills everyone in his way. They have a whole platoon there. He manages to take almost all of them out with the help of the gang as well.
Yeah, and I particularly love the way they demonstrate exactly what the IG units can do. Just the way they cleverly use the old design of the droid that, I don't know, George Lucas might have come up with. He just wrecks the shop with it, and it's very fun to watch.
Do you know what it was like? It was like watching someone on New Game Plus going through a starting level area and just basically killing everyone with one hit. I love that the stormtroopers at the very start couldn't hit the can. It was like, stormtroopers have terrible aim.
I didn't even think about that. Really showing us the stormtrooper effect.
They were just terrible shots. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Which of course plays in later on, because the stormtroopers are completely incapable of hitting our heroes as they're shooting their way out of the canteen, which of course is always funny to watch. And then Moff Gideon comes in, and he's the only one that's able to take on the Mandalorian.
He shoots him in the back of the head.
Shoots him in the back of the head, and then the Mandalorian is slowly getting up to point a gun at him again, and Moff Gideon has enough time to look at the situation and say, "I'm going to shoot this canister on the ground." Great video game effect. I mean, we all love shooting canisters.
Yeah, the only issue was it wasn't red.
And it wasn't glowing.
The Mandalorian gets taken out pretty quickly. Drag him in to the bar.
To the canteen, yeah.
Yeah. They're all trying to decide how we get out of here. So the IG droid starts cutting through the grate, which they just couldn't get through it, no matter what they tried.
And they actually had a great way of writing off that Yoda can use force healing, because it's that's the biggest problem I have with the introduction of force healing, that now all of our heroes can just be healed via force healing. The director, Taika Waititi, or the writer, could have come up with a great idea to get rid of that power. So they have a flamethrower stormtrooper come in to flame the place, and Baby Yoda, of course, shields them on all with the force, redirects all of the fire back at the stormtrooper, knocking himself out in the process.
Yeah, it was a great way to get them to actually just move on with the plot. Everyone would have just said, why doesn't he heal him?
Yeah.
But of course, he doesn't heal him. He goes down into the sewers, and while they're down in the sewers, the IG droid stays behind to attempt to heal him. They get through this great technicality. So, as we all know, the Mandalorian can't take off his helmet. He's not allowed as part of the creed. No living person may see him.
Yeah, and we could all see this coming as well.
The second he said that, we all knew the droid was going to say, I'm not alive, and then we're going to get to see his face. We all know what Pedro Pascal looks like, but it was nice to see him underneath it.
And it made me feel smart. And I know it was very obvious as well, setting up that scene that we all know that he's going to say, but I'm technically not alive, so you can take off your helmet. But it was a good way of writing the television, that it makes you feel smarter watching it, that you could figure that out before the characters could.
The most interesting thing, though, is obviously he has this history with droids. His whole family was killed by super battle droids in the Clone Wars. So you can see that he obviously has this distrust completely of droids. This is kind of the moment where he turns a new leaf and takes a chance and actually decides, I'm going to trust this droid to heal me with this Bacta spray. He carries him through the sewers. They end up at the forge, and the interesting thing is they run into the Forge Mother. She's dressed like Mandalore the Great, who is from the extended universe about 4,000 years ago. They mention Mandalore the Great, I think. She helps them out. She's a really, really cool character. Like, I'm really interested in her. She obviously, hopefully, survives.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
There's a lot of mystery around her character. I mean, we don't. Maybe for all we know, she ratted out the rest of the Mandalorians. Maybe she is a spy.
She's the spy.
We don't actually know, but because of course all the Mandalorian characters are shrouded in a lot of mystery.
But I think she's really, really cool. She gives him jetpack.
The really cool Boba Fett, Jango Fett jetpack.
Yeah, which looks like it sticks onto you with magnets. The only problem I had with that was I was complaining to Liam. I said, what about his cape? His cape's a really cool cape.
No. Boba Fett had a cape.
Yeah, I know. It was a half cape.
Half cape. You can just sling it over, and anything that's in the way will just get burnt off.
Scarf cape.
Maybe it's inflammable material.
The Forge Mother or Master gets surrounded. Oh no. Is this the end? No.
What?
Because she's kick-ass.
Of course it's not the end. Imagine she was killed off by a bunch of stormtroopers.
Wouldn't that be terrible? That'd be Order 66ing her. Yeah. Doesn't even get the chance to defend herself. She just gets murdered. No, she wrecks shop, as I like to say. Kills every single stormtrooper. She dips one of them into the forge.
And she throws him in.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd rise up with Beskar stormtrooper armor and be revealed
as
to
a new man.
It'd be who's it? Captain Phasma. That's why she was in that shiny
new
stormtrooper armor.
That'd be awesome. That'd be far too much thinking and fan service, but that'd be an amazing way to include her. They all decide to go down the River Styx, as far as I remember, don't they?
Yeah, and they have the astro droid that stands up to sail the gondola.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
A lesser learned person would say, why didn't R2-D2 do any of that? Why didn't he grow legs?
I kind of looked like he was just retrofitted. He couldn't actually move or do anything. He was just stuck to the... Yeah. So it was nice. I mean, I love the old Astro droids. I mean, I don't want them to change. I like the little... But I did like the way he extended arms and legs out.
Yeah.
Why not?
They go down the River Styx. There was a platoon of troopers waiting for them at the
on
the
either
exit.
side to ambush them. And this is where the connection that the Mandalorian has now had with the IG-11 unit, it pays off.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel really forced or anything.
No,
because we've seen this from episode 1 of the series, that the IG-11 unit can't allow himself to be captured, basically.
Yeah, and this is the thing that they have that is very cleverly set up in this. They have a lot of plot points that happen really quickly, but it always pays off, unlike in Rise of Skywalker, of course, where they have scenes like, here's the coin, this will get you onto any Imperial ship, then 5 minutes later, oh, it's a good thing we have this coin. It just pays off much better in this, and we connect with it.
If you haven't guessed already, the droid blows himself up.
Goes back to the episode 1 where he keeps saying that his manufacturing protocol says that he can't be captured.
He blows himself up. Yeah. They almost escape, But guess who just comes attacking them in a TIE fighter?
Moff Gideon.
So Moff Gideon comes attacking them in a TIE fighter, and the Mandalorian does the only thing he can do. He embraces his true nature and learns to fly.
But before that, he puts on a jetpack.
Gets knocked around in midair quite a bit. He does a good job, in fairness.
Yeah, his first time flying it after being told that he needs to connect with it.
But he blows up Moff Gideon's TIE fighter by sticking a few. They're not thermal detonators.
Kind of like C4.
Yeah, he sticks
explosive.
a few of them on it. He blows Moff Gideon up. Moff Gideon crashes into oblivion, and the gang.
End. They all live happily ever after.
The gang decide to go their separate ways. Somehow, Carl Weathers survived.
Yes, this was the only scene that I really had a problem with. I felt like they just wrapped it up very quickly, and then he blew up the TIE fighter, and then he just lands down on the planet, and straight away they come up and say, "Wow, nice moves, Mando. I suppose that's it for all of the stormtroopers. Let's go back to town and say we can set up shop right away." I just thought,
Cut the head off the snake.
I feel like there was something lost in editing there. Like, they didn't even have time to realize just how screwed they nearly were. That straight away Carl Weathers walks up and says,
But this is stuff they're all well used to. I mean, they've fought ATSTs. They've done all these things together. One of them shot the other one in the chest. Like, yeah, these guys, they live on the edge.
I suppose, yeah, because Grief Cargo or Carl Weathers did just at the very first episode get shot in the Beskar steel chest piece.
In his Beskar heart.
Yeah, and he still has that same top on because he doesn't have any other clothes, so you can still see the hole in
That's
his
the
leather
one
jacket.
gripe I always have about sci-fi things. People don't change their clothes.
They're trying to add in little Easter eggs so we, the audience, feel that little bit smarter and say, "Oh, look, you can still see where he got shot."
He makes it through the whole episode, which is very surprising.
That was
to me.
amazing. That's the type of character that it's just a trope to kill them off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, you look at all the Indiana Jones films, it's like, "Indy, help!" And, you know, he gets his greed for gold or whatever, makes him get trapped inside the
But
temple.
in fairness, like, he wasn't a bad character. He was going by guild rules, and Mandalorian disobeyed the guild rules. So
Like, he didn't know what he stole.
and everyone who looked upon Baby Yoda took pity on Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Of course, they all decide it's time to go our separate ways, and we think it's over. But is it? No. You see, there's a TIE fighter that's crashed into the ground, and there's Jawas stripping it for parts.
As we expect them to do on every planet,
Yes,
the show is just
we
set
learned
up.
from episode 2 that they just like to strip everything from everything. Rise of Skywalker, they just refuse to. Now they get to that ship, they're stripping it apart, and then they hear inside it there's someone cutting their way through. We see a black lightsaber,
A black saber? What's that?
a dark saber,
Oh,
and then Moff Gideon kicks his way out, stands dramatically on top with his saber still on, and we have to wonder, where did that saber come from?
which of course a quick Google search will tell us what the saber is.
Yep. It's a
Or you could just
Mandalorian
watch-
artifact.
Yeah, I have this problem in this show, and also when you look at the Clone Wars, I just think the dark saber looks like a poorly rendered piece of CGI.
It's difficult to light up darkness.
To have the light around it, so
Yeah.
it always looks like somebody just cut something
Yeah.
out, and they can still
Yeah.
see the white. You know when you do a bad copy and paste job, and it still has like the white border around it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looks like to me, and it looks a bit funny.
But it is nice that it's a Mandalorian artifact, and the person who wields it is, in essence, Mandalore. Now, it's kind of extended history, but basically Mandalore is the leader of the Mandalorian clan. It can be anyone. It's usually it's the best fighter. For the longest time, it was a secret Mandalorian, as in they were not known, they weren't worshipped, they weren't praised. It was just the person who held this was actually in command. Nobody acknowledged it unless that person kind of flexed their muscles
Well,
and
it's
says,
the lightsaber of the first Mandalore to ever join the Jedi Order.
So Liam, are you looking forward to season 2?
Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to season 2, and if it wasn't for this show, I think I'd feel very differently going into the new year about Star Wars. After the rise, they were very clever releasing this at the same time as the Rise of Skywalker, because as far as I'm concerned, the Rise of Skywalker is just a bad dream or a distant memory. Oh look, it's Baby Yoda.
That brings the whole family into it. Baby Yoda is going to be a national icon.
It just has something for everyone in it.
So, what would you give it as a rating?
The last episode.
The last episode.
Well, I think the episode before was directed better. Deborah Chow, the director of that, did a better job. So I putting the two of them on the same level, I'd have to say this one would have been an 8 out of 10, and the one before 8.5, 9 out of 10.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both excellent episodes.
I'd agree with that. Would you rewatch the series? I know you're excited for season 2, but would
Yes.
you rewatch it?
And that's the most important thing about a good finale, because when it sticks to the landing, it makes rewatching it all the more
because
worthwhile.
you know it's going to pay off in the end.
Yeah, because I'd never watch Game of Thrones all over again. I'd never watch I never did watch the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy simply because after Last Jedi I knew it didn't have anywhere to go. But yes, I think it's definitely a demonstration of just how worthwhile it is to invest in story writing from start to finish, know where it's going to end, and always build towards that finale.
And with that final thought, I think we'll leave it there. So I have been Colm. This has been
Liam.
We are the Hollow Grumps, and we hope you enjoyed our little podcast. We would like it if you'd like and subscribe, and also hit the bell notification so you get to hear all of our upcoming news, all the stuff we're going to be doing. Oh yeah, send us a comment as well. Discuss away, because Lord knows we need the
traction.
Thank you very much, and take care.